As for K through 12 kids around the state, not to mention their parents, the world is pretty upside down right now. Just a few weeks ago, kids were in the classrooms, teachers were making plans for the days and months ahead, seniors planning for graduation, juniors for SATs and college visits. Now instead, they're in week 2 of state-mandated closure. Some are continuing with classes online, but many others are at a standstill as school systems scramble to figure out how to move forward for at least the next few weeks and possibly months. I'm joined now by the superintendent of the Boston Public Schools, Brenda Cassellius. Superintendent, thank you so much for joining me. I know you're busy. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So I know you're a week in. How are things?
Things are going pretty well. I want to first start off by thanking all of the volunteers, the teachers, the principals, the folks at central office, and all of our community members who have really just pitched in. I've always said it's all hands on deck, but this is truly all hands on deck here.
So, but I read a story in the Globe just a few minutes ago from today saying thousands of families don't have promised computers yet. The president of the Boston Teachers Union said, quote, significant numbers of her members haven't had adequate training on the teaching apps. I mean, it sounds like it's a pretty rocky road so far. Is that not fair?
Yeah, this is something none of us have done before. And I'm pretty proud of the team for getting out the computers. We're leaps ahead of some other districts, but we still have so much more yet to do. We're still trying to get the computers out, get the word out. Because of the quick nature of us having to close, we weren't able to send home computers to everybody that we had. So we were able to get them on order. We have them now, and we've been home delivering them, just as we've been able to make appointments with parents. Sometimes we've gone to homes and they haven't been there. Sometimes addresses have not been updated into our system. So we're working through all of those kinks now and trying to get to every single one of our students.
But we're talking serious numbers. Thousands of students out of 54,000 don't have computers yet, correct?
That is correct. There are many who have had them at home already. And so the numbers that we have are reflective of those who still need them, because we know that some families already did have computers at home, but we do have students who do not have them right now. So we're asking everybody to help us get the word out, sign kids up, because we're not able to distribute them in our large areas. We were planning on distributing them into at the bowling center and in some of our schools, but because of the social distancing, we had to go to Plan B and start home delivering them.
I've only known you a little time, but I know you to be an incredibly positive, optimistic kind of person. But when you're home at night, do you say to yourself, maybe it's possible that this isn't possible? I mean, it hasn't been done before on this sort of scale. Is that not a possibility?
It is not a possibility to create the most advantageous opportunity for our kids. So whatever we have to do, we are going to get it done for our kids, because they don't get a rewind, Jim. They don't get a time to do it again. So this isn't a time for us to sit on our laurels and boo-hoo about it. We have to just make sure we're doing everything possible. So yes, it has to be done. And I think we're in this for the long haul. I think that this is going to shift fundamentally the way that we educate children today. And so we have to learn as we go. They say, what is that? Build the plane while you're flying it.
Yeah.
That is what we are doing now.
You mean long haul? You mean even after this coronavirus is behind us, this remote learning will be a much more intimate part, integrated part of public school learning, is what you're saying, right?
I absolutely believe it's fundamentally going to shift how we educate children today. I think that now that children will have the tools, because every child will get a computer or have one, that this is going to change the way we instruct. This is going to change the way we think about our school calendar. This is going to change the way we engage with parents as a child's first teacher. All of us are learning together, parents, teachers, and all of us alike.
So how about the food situation? I learned just in the last 6 months what a huge percentage of important nutrition a ton of kids get from Boston Public Schools. I also read today that somewhere in the neighborhood of 11 million plus meals are served a year by the school system, lunches, breakfast, some dinners in some cases. That distribution has been fairly dicey in the early stages too, yes?
So the distribution hasn't been dicey at all. It's just the number of people that we're seeing. So we served over 6,000 meals today, but we know that there's still more that are hungry. What is, I think, contributed to our lower than typical numbers, typically we serve upwards of 35,000 to 50,000 meals a day. And so what I think has contributed is there's been so many other opportunities around the city for families to access food. I think this is going to be more of a challenge for us in the future as the access to those sites is limited, as well as families, maybe picking up and getting their own food through churches and other means.
How are you dealing with like special needs kids, with kids, special lessons plans, with homeless kids, which we were talking about on the show a couple of weeks ago? How are you dealing with those kinds of things?
So we've prioritized our homeless students and the way that we deliver to them. So we've been working on door-to-door delivery models for them. I think today was the first day that we were able to offer that service to families. We also have our special ed teachers and our teams who are calling our parents to work through their individual learning plans. What's most challenging is providing the services to our special ed students who need that one-to-one touch, whether it's nursing care or whether it's care for a behavioral issue or some kind of occupational therapy or physical therapy or speech therapy. Those are things that were face-to-face that people were able to deliver. And now because of social distancing, we're not able to bring folks out into the home.
So I can't believe how many things you have to deal with at once. Not only just the things we just talked about, but you and I on the radio with Marjorie Egan recently were talking about your special concern for seniors, their final semester and graduation, juniors who won't have SATs at least until May, if not later, won't be able to make school visits. How are you how do you prioritize what's got to be dealt with when there's so many challenges on so many levels?
Well, like I said, we are reinventing every day, and I have just an amazing team of folks who are thinking about these different questions and different things that come up really literally every day. And as this situation evolves, it's, okay, that was plan A. It's changed now, this past hour. So we're changing again for the next thing. And so now we're looking at summer school. We're looking at how we work with our partners. We're working on the senior issues, graduation, credit, MCAS, portfolios, just looking at different ways, higher education, and thinking about kids' admission already for next fall and how we prevent any loss there. You're right, there is a lot to think about, but I have a wonderful team and we have a working list that we are working through and getting at everything.
It's possible the school year is over. I know we're only through April 27th. It's possible there'll be no return this semester. Is that not so?
That is possible, and I've talked to some colleagues across the nation. We have to see a dip in the number of cases that are new cases every single day, and so that will give us the first indication of the timeline. Currently, we are still set on April 27th, but if something should change, we will definitely make sure that we communicate. We are trying to communicate with our families daily via Twitter, via social media, by website, going on shows like this. I'm just trying to make sure we get the word out.
Groucho Marx, that great educator, once said there's nothing like good timing, and this is nothing like good timing. The state report on the Boston Public Schools was very critical of prior to your tenure. They actually praised you for your outreach to the 125 schools. Does that complicate your job during this crisis, or has that sort of been backburnered while you deal with the immediate fires?
Well, it really doesn't. So we are going to be working on making sure that, I don't know, someone's ringing at my doorbell, which is
That's
odd.
okay. We'll get to it later.
So we are definitely working on the matters of improvement. Certainly this does put a snag into it because we're all virtual now. So that makes a very huge difference to how we're going to strategize and work on it. But otherwise, that's not like my first concern. My first concern is the safety and well-being of our children and the ongoing learning for them right now.
Before I let you go, I know it's not easy being green. What is that thing over your right shoulder back there, please, Superintendent?
Oh, I think that you see Read It there. I think he's in there. Yep, that's him.
What is he? Who is he?
He was my reading partner when I was Commissioner of Education in Minnesota when we pushed and launched our campaign for early literacy. And now he's my bedtime story partner as I push out videos to our young little ones.
Fabulous.
So,
Best
and
to
he's
him.
keeping me company because I'm here alone. My
Best
husband's
to
with my
both of you.
children in Minnesota.
Superintendent, we really appreciate it. Lots of luck in this really important job of yours. Thanks.
Thank you so much, and keep your chin up. We will get through this.
Brenda Cassellius, thank you. For more information about free grab-and-go meals for Boston Public School students, head to boston.gov.